I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do I need to read them all?
I move that we approve the minutes with any corrections.
Is there a motion?
I move that. I move.
I mean, is there a second? I'm sorry. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is passed. Next on the agenda, approval of the consent agenda, which includes authorizing payment of claims, authorizing the superintendent's financial information, and approving the amended human resource activity. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the
Consent agenda.
consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is passed. Did I miss something there?
Nope, so far so good. Recognition.
Okay. Well, next is, we'll have recognitions by Courtney Fisher.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, trustees, Dr. Howell, Ms. Johnson, and student representatives, and also our full house. I love it when we have a full house like this. It's amazing. Tonight we will recognize several individuals who, through their actions, support and embody our district's mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. First up, we have our Cake Awards. Our district believes that a safe, supportive, caring, and respectful environment is critical to student learning. The School District 25 Education Foundation, in partnership with McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month Award to recognize one elementary learner and one secondary learner from our district from October through May. The Cake Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement toward others. In addition to being recognized here tonight with you, the recipient also receives a baking kit to make cupcakes at home with their families and special treats delivered to their classrooms, because we really feel like this is an award that is worthy of recognition in front of their peers. Nominations for the Cake Award are submitted by a teacher who has observed the nominee's behavior and are approved by the school's principal. So first up for our February Cake Award for our Elementary Learner of the Month, please help me welcome Jaden Nichols and his teacher, Mrs. Lacey Smart. Please join me at the podium. Our board members can see you. Don't be shy, okay? Okay. So Jaden is a fourth grade learner at Gate City Elementary School, and Mrs. Smart nominated him. She is Jaden's teacher. So in her nomination letter, Mrs. Smart wrote, "Jaden is the very definition of determination and positivity. When he struggles, he approaches the situation with a growth mindset and sees his mistakes as opportunities for improvement. When his classmates struggle, he reaches out and helps them feel comfortable in the challenge. The class knows that anyone can play with Jaden at recess. He doesn't show favorites and is friendly to everyone." It's awesome. A student in our class struggles with change to the point of tears quite often. Jaden provides encouraging words and demonstrates great empathy and kindness. So Jaden, tonight you're going to receive this certificate, and then also Mrs. Smart will gather your goodies after this. You're going to receive, both you and Ms. Smart will receive a gift card from McDonald's. We love our partner with our Pocatello McDonald's. And the school's library is going to receive a $50 donation to purchase books in your name. So that's pretty cool. That's my favorite part of this award, absolutely. So please join me in congratulating Jaden for being named our Elementary Learner of the Month. And if you would let our board members congratulate you, just go through the line and let me see.
Excellent, Jane. Thank you, buddy. Thanks, Lacey, for the nomination.
Next up, we have our Secondary Learner of the Month. Please help me welcome Lee Ellis and her teacher, Mrs. Bailey Green, to the podium. Thank you so much to you and your family for joining us tonight. Lee is an 8th grader at Alameda Middle School, and Mrs. Green, I believe, teaches science at Alameda. Mrs. Green teaches science in her nomination, and in her nomination letter she wrote, "Lee is an outstanding student and embodies all of the qualities of the Cake Award. Lee is empathetic and always positive, and she is an extremely hard worker. She seems to be aware of others' struggles and never hesitates to jump right in to help her classmates. In our class, we have a learner who is on an IEP and needs more assistance from the teacher. Lee pulled up her chair next to this learner and worked with them for the entire lab, all the while completing her own assignment and maintaining a good attitude. She showed nothing but patience and gentleness toward this learner. In addition to supporting and encouraging her classmates, Lee continues to put forth effort in all of her studies and shows a drive for learning that is often unmatched at her age. Lee consistently engages in class discussions, seeks deeper understanding, and always takes the first step even when the work is challenging. Her character shines just as bright within her athletic ability as well, where she is a team player and a determined athlete. I'm so glad to know and teach Lee. She is truly an amazing young person. That's pretty outstanding, Lee. Not to embarrass you or anything with all that praise. Lee will also be recognized among her peers with a cupcake kit. And Lee and Mrs. Green will each receive a gift card from McDonald's, and the school's library will also receive a $50 gift card in your name to purchase books, also from our partner, McDonald's. So please help me in congratulating Lee, and if you will also let our board members congratulate you. Lee,
Nice job, Lee. Thank you. Hi, Bailey. Very well, you?
Okay, next up, we have our February Employee of the Month, or PIES Award. So our full house, this really is a more together night. If the Employee of the Month PIES Award recognizes our employees who positively influence educational success. The award is for employees who go above and beyond in that effort. Lookout Credit Union partners with us in providing this award. So tonight we are recognizing Mrs. Jenny Higgins as February's PIE recipient, and if you and Mrs. Johnson would join me at the podium. And then if you're from Indian Hills, maybe just stand up really quick so we can recognize you as well. And all that. So Mrs. Higgins is the Media Center aide at Indian Hills Elementary School, and she was nominated by the school principal, Mrs. Jill Johnson. In her nomination letter, Mrs. Johnson wrote, Jenny was hired to be our Media Center aide right before all the COVID precautions came into place. She had so many ambitions for turning the library into an inviting learning place, and then she found out she couldn't even use the library. She would have to push and pull carts full of books to each of the 23 classrooms every week. Jenny did this with a smile and made her visits to the classroom positive. She planned a literacy activity and provided kids an opportunity to check out books. She even took requests and worked overtime to find requested books for students. Then Jenny was told that the library catalog shelving system was going to be completely changed. Books would have to be moved. She rounded up her own help for this arduous task. She came in early, stayed late, worked weekends, and a few days of her holiday break to make the library organized and inviting to learners. This year, Jenny is able to have students come to her classroom, the library. We love that. The love of books she shares with students is contagious. She is passionate about getting books into the hands of all of our students. In addition to providing literacy lessons and book distribution to kids, Jenny is at the front door each morning and after school. Her duty is to help kids get in and out of their cars in the drop-off lane. Ooh, that's a challenge. I did that for many years. She is sometimes the first and last smile these students get. Parents love Miss Jenny because she ensures their children's safety and makes them feel good about being at school. Jenny is truly a ray of sunshine in Indian Hills, and you can tell with all the support that you have here tonight. It's amazing. Ms. Higgins, you will receive this certificate and also a $50 gift card from our partners Lookout Credit Union. Ms. Johnson, I also have something for you for nominating Ms. Higgins. But we appreciate Lookout Credit Union, and please help me congratulate Jenny and her amazing team for this award.
Congratulations. Thanks for your work.
We have one more recognition that's worthy of attention this evening, so please help me welcome Mr. Jet Smith, Ms. Marcy Kerr, and Ms. Marie Milovanovic, did I say that right at all?
It's close enough.
Please correct me. That's Milovanovic. Okay, because I have to say it again, so I'd like to say it right. Mr. Smith is a speech and debate team coach for Highland High School. Ms. Kerr coaches the Voice of the Thunder at Pocatello High School. And Ms. Milovanovic is the coach at Century High School. Thank you for bearing with me. On Tuesday, February 8th, Ms. Kerr reached out to the board with the following email. Dear board and administrators, I wanted to make you aware of a huge success this weekend for the Highland High School speech and debate team when they unseated the undefeated Rigby speech and debate team. Rigby has dominated the speech and debate competitions for the past 4 years. In overall team rankings, they have not lost an invitational or state tournament in that time. Rigby typically wins by a large margin. This past weekend, Rigby had 37 competitors, Highland had 23. This was a David and Goliath moment for our district. Out of the 13 5A and 4A schools in attendance, Highland took first. So that deserves applause. The icing on the cake is that Jet himself is a Highland graduate. He is young and energetic, barely 21, and he is an amazing colleague. He believes in true collaboration and works endlessly to make the entire speech and debate community better. Jet is in his second year at Highland High School and has turned their team into a competitive giant. He coaches his students to be respectful, ethical, and kind to people. Jet won't brag about himself, but I think he deserves accolades. So then with that recognition, Jet wrote back and responded, which is why we're all here today. I want to thank Marcy Kerr for her kind words and congratulations. I would be remiss if I also didn't congratulate my fellow district coaches. All 3 District 25 schools placed in the top 5 at this tournament, with Pocatello in 3rd and Century in 5th. Our district is performing better together than any year I can remember in the past. We appreciate your support of forensic speech and debate and of the hundreds of students who participate from Pocatello schools every year. This exchange is why we're here, and Indian Hills and your staff being here, we truly are a district who believes that we are better together. And this story embodies that Be More Together vision. So that's why I invited you here tonight for this special recognition. Thank you for helping us live that mission in action. And please, I know we're going to hear more. We're really, the debate season is ramping up. They've got lots of tournaments coming up. I'm sure this is not the last we will hear of their accomplishments and success, but I wanted to recognize them here before you tonight. So I have a certificate for each of you. Please keep us posted. Oh, I did want to say, Marcy sent me this earlier today. So I know, the story just keeps getting better. So right now in the state of Idaho, Highland is ranked 1st, Pocatello is 2nd, and Century is 13th. Highland and Pokey have 6 learners currently ranked in the top 8 in the state. It's just tremendous. 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Right now, in the top 100 students in speech and debate, over a quarter of them are from School District 25. So that deserves another round of applause. Okay, so I have this for you, Jen.
Courtney, can I just say something real quick?
Yes.
Right here.
Yeah, sorry. I'm like,
So Marcy was kind enough to invite me to go participate and watch at the ISU, what was it, the Snake Rock or Black Rock, something like that. So I would encourage my fellow board members and of course anyone else in the audience that has not seen these kids debate. It is amazing. It's jaw-dropping. They're very, very, very good. So I would encourage you to keep sending me those invitations because I would like to see more of them.
wonderful.
I loved it too, yes.
You watched his little brother.
Yep.
He's
Your
on my
brother,
team.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
That's always fun when your younger
Against the
sibling competes
Pokey.
for the other school.
Yeah.
And if you'll let our.
They were both so well prepared.
Some true sibling rivalry going on.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
No, it was
Thanks for your work.
Thank you. It was so
Thank
good.
you so much. Wonderful. Keep up the great work. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marcy. Very helpful.
And that concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Okay, next on the agenda is public written comment on topics not pertinent to The agenda action items, no comment was received and no request for public comment, so we'll move on. Next, we have student representatives. We'll start with Century High School, J.J. Anderson and Dominic Samana.
All right, good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Howell. My name is Dominic Samana.
And I'm JJ Anderson, and we are Century High School's co-student body presidents. We're eager to fill you in about what has been going on at Century.
Our girls basketball team has finished their season, and we are proud of all their hard work this season. They ended the season as academic state champions.
Our boys basketball team has districts this week, and on Thursday we will play the winner of tonight's Preston Pokey game. We are seated first and are excited to cheer on our athletes. They have had a remarkable season, and the games have been very exciting.
Last week, our wrestling team and boys basketball team had their senior nights. Both were a blast, and all seniors got to walk out with their loved ones and were cheered on by their student body. Both events had our notorious snake tunnel, the Century Singers, pep band, cheer, and student sections.
Our dance and cheer teams went to state last week, and before their departure, each team walked through the school for what we call a parade of champions. This is a tradition at Century where every state-bound team walks through the halls, and all the students come out of their classrooms and cheer them on and send them off to state.
Our cheer team won second place in stunt and third place in show, and our dance team also won academic state champions.
As far as other activities and projects go, Student Council has been hard at work making lots of different things happen.
We are preparing for our 3-on-3 March Madness basketball tournament. Students and teachers put together teams, and they play each other each day at lunch for each day of the month of March. It is a highly anticipated event at Century, and we are excited for its return this year. All profits will go to the Pocatello Animal Shelter.
Our Student Council freshmen have completed their first big project, selling candygrams for Valentine's Day. They earned $100 to donate to the Ronald McDonald House.
Other members of Student Council have completed and continue to work on projects making pins for all the AP and dual enrollment classes. Each student will get a customized button for those classes. It's quite the production, but everyone's having fun with it and putting out some very creative pieces.
This week we are wrapping up the ASB elections. Each candidate made campaign posters and videos, wrote essays, completed interviews with current ASB members, and gave speeches to the whole student body. We are proud of each candidate's ambition and efforts and are excited to establish our leadership for next school year.
And lastly, students, teachers, and admin are continuing to work hard as we wrap up the second trimester. And students are currently working on course selection for next year, and we also had our elective fair today.
That's all that's been happening at Century the past couple of weeks. Thank you for your time.
So I have one addition. I know the only reason I'll mention this is because it's my daughter.
Yeah.
But the girls' basketball won academic state
Yeah.
as well. Did you mention that? I missed
Yes, we did it it was the very first thing,
Very
so it's
good.
easy to
Went
figure
right
out.
over my head.
No,
Sorry.
no, we're really happy for them. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll have Tim Lee Ward from Highland High School.
As he mentioned, my name is Tenley Ward, and I'm a junior at Highland High School. Our dance and cheer teams competed at state this past weekend. Our cheer team won 5A championship, and they were also recognized as a 5A academic champions, so we're very proud of them. Mr. Mark Van Orden, an English teacher and head cross-country coach at Highland, was recognized on Saturday as ISU College of Business Teacher of the Game at the Idaho State women's basketball game versus Eastern Washington. The ISU College of Business chooses outstanding educators from the Southeast Idaho and recognizes them during a specific home game. So we're very proud of him, and congratulations to him. Our boys basketball starts their district tournaments tonight against Thunder Ridge at 7 p.m. So we are cheering them on. We hope they win. Our theater department has been working really hard to put on Shrek the Musical. The dates are March 4th, and it'll run through the 8th. All of you guys are welcome to come. They always do a really good job. Our theater department is good. And as I mentioned earlier, our speech and debate did very well at their tournament this last weekend. So that's what's been going on at Highland. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Aubrey Larson from Pocatello High School.
Hello, my name is Aubrey Larson, and today
a little bit about what's going on in Pokey. The speech and debate team has participated in 3 invitational tournaments with the 13 to 21 schools from eastern Idaho at each. Pokey took 2nd overall at one tournament and 3rd overall at 2 others, and Pokey students brought home 60 individual awards. And mock trial districts are underway. Speech and debate will be attending NSDA regionals this weekend and IHSAA districts next weekend. We'd also like to give a shout out to Highland Speech and Debate. They took 1st place in the Skyline tournament overall, toppling Rigby's 4-year undefeated streak. So we'd like to congratulate them. It is almost time for Eric Rude's forensic science classes to start solving some murders. The students have spent time this trimester learning how to use a number of forensic techniques including fingerprinting, hair, and fiber analysis, and forensic anthropology. Next week, we will have some mock crimes at PHS, and these students will have to identify the victim and the killer. When they finish the investigating, they will go out and arrest the bad guys, all the teachers and staff at Pokey. FFA students are training for a competitive event called Idaho Envirothon, scheduled for this April. FFA, in collaboration with Pokey Earth Club, has also been working with the Pocatello Greenway Association to create 1 or more native gardens around the area of the Greenway needing some love. They are looking into the feasibility of a solar-powered rain catchment irrigated system for this project. Pokey Earth Club is working with the City of Pocatello and Sagebrush Step Land Trust on several conservation projects in the area. 2 of our female wrestlers qualified the very first women's state wrestling championships. We'd like to congratulate Hallie Stone and Keely Nicholas. Our dance and cheer team also went to state last weekend. Our cheer coach, Carly Johnson, was selected as Coach of the Year. Our cross and country and health teacher, Shannon Whitmer, was also awarded the 2022 Trailblazer Award from ISU. This award is given to a woman who has provided significant leadership and mentorship in women in sports. Pocatello High School Student Government has won the Idaho Association of Student Council's Outstanding Student Council Award, and we will be picking that up at state conference on March 1st. And the ERR special ed students sold annual valograms and delivered them on Valentine's Day. They set a record of 620 valograms sold. The proceeds go to cooking in living skills classes and trips in the spring, such as bowling and tickets for the PRT bus. Choir and orchestra have a concert February 22nd at 7 p.m. in Century Auditorium. And our musical is coming up, and we'd like to invite you all to that. We will be running 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, March 9th through the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank you for being here, and you're welcome to stay if you want, or you're welcome to. It's up to you. Thank you. Appreciate you.
There you go.
Okay, next we have Ms. Courtney Fisher, who will give us a media report and a road map report.
My apologies. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, you're good.
Lots of people in the hallways. Okay, I just have a brief report for you this evening, and included in your addendum is the media and communications report. I always like to send links we keep track of all the educational news throughout the region, locally, throughout the state, and then national education news as well. Some of those headlines of interest this month, since we last met: West Ada ended their COVID exposure notifications to families. Idaho Falls approved full-day kindergarten. Omicron surge causes historic staff shortage in District 25, which we all know. Shakeups in school leadership: Nampa trustee and superintendent, as well as West Ada trustee, resign, all citing toll of pandemic. This is good news. The Omicron surge shows signs of slowing. Another article that I want to direct your attention to is Idaho will need over 100 new schools by 2030. Governor Little signs off on this school staff health insurance bill, and there's a new bill that would make enrollment-based funding that shift permanent. And then in very recent news, Highland High School cheer team won the state championship, and we also had placements for Pokey and Century. So that's all really good news, and I encourage you, there's several dozen links, so if you get a chance to peruse all those, some great information. Last month, our live stream of our board meetings on January 8th, the regular board meeting had 575 views compared to 130 in December. February 8th, work session had 161 views compared to 93 in January. We continue to grow our social media audience just incrementally. Our Facebook continues to be our best avenue to communicate with our constituents, with just under 11,000 followers, so we're continuing to grow that audience. 454 followers on Twitter. Instagram is climbing up to 1,200, and YouTube, we have 354 subscribers. On our website, we had 49,000 users, which was up nearly 18% over last month. 69,000 sessions versus 55,000 the last month, so our website's getting really good traffic. And 64.8% of those users access the site from a mobile device. And I'm really excited because we just got the design for our new mobile site. With that website comes a fully user-friendly mobile website that will adjust to the device that it's being viewed on. That's something that we've been sorely missing, so I'm excited to review that. It's going to be a great improvement to what we have for our communication tools. And we will head into the warranty phase of that new website on May 18th, so we have a lot of work to do between now and then. Our top 10 frequently visited pages, we had just over 96,000 page views. Home continues to be top, and then Pocatello High School. Our weekly case count is in the top 3, which makes sense with our surge. People are checking that weekly to see where our numbers are. Elementary food services, Franklin Bell schedule, our news section, coronavirus updates, that kind of fell off the top for a while, and it was back up in the top 10. Food service administration and HR with some of the jobs that we have. That is it for media and community relations. I think, am I next on the agenda with the roadmap as well?
Yep.
Okay, so we went over, I won't take too much time because we went over very thoroughly just the textual changes from the roadmap at the work session. So I will direct your attention to the revised roadmap that's in your agenda packet. And on page 6, we just made 2 small adjustments on page 6 and 9. So first, just to address some of the questions and concerns that the board raised at the work session meeting. So on page 6, the last bullet in phase 1, we added the district will continue to be flexible with learner absences when a COVID case has been confirmed within the household. And then on page 9, we added a bullet again in that first phase in supporting teaching and learning. The last bullet, we added evaluate and or implement emergency substitute incentives when staffing shortages impact continuity of services. So I believe this will be on your agenda for approval at the end of the meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we will move on to curriculum and instruction. Ms. Lori.
Good evening. So first on the agenda is the Head Start board report. For the ERSI, the enrollment at the end of January, the program had 164 children enrolled. 4 children withdrew, 2 moved out of the service area, and 2 to family circumstances, and 3 children did enroll. Due to the turnover in staff at Tyhee with the implementation of the new Head Start performance standards, the classroom was temporarily closed. The 18 enrolled children there were offered a placement in other Head Start classrooms. 9 of those families accepted new placements, and they're attending the school in their new classrooms. The remaining children, 1 transferred to the early intervention program, 1 moved, 3 were unable to transport to Lincoln, and 4 opted to keep their children home. They were placed on our wait list should the families wish them to return. In January, the average daily attendance was 76.66%, and the illness was the number 1 reason. 15 confirmed child COVID-19 cases. For the in-kind, this year to date, $57,806.70 has been reported for in-kind. The required for the year is $310,371, and the program will be requesting a waiver in April for the in-kind. For personnel, the new Head Start performance standards went into effect on January 31st. There were 6 staff members who did not remain with the program. This was approximately 9% of the staff positions. 4 staff were granted a medical or religious exemption, and the rest of the staff were vaccinated. The vacant positions have been posted and interviews are beginning this week. So for Policy Council, 3 Policy Council parent members attended the annual Head Start Association conference this past week, during the week of February 8th through 10th. This year's conference was virtual. Their highlight was being able to have a Zoom meeting with their elected officials. They were able to meet with Representative Ruckty and Senator Nye, and this year's conversation was around the governor's budget proposal of allocating $1 million a year for 3 years to provide for an additional 92 Head Start slots across the state. So we're waiting to see if that's approved. Questions on the Head Start? Okay. And the 21st Century After School Program update, we continue to operate at our 8 schools with community partnerships very active. The new information is that the grant was submitted. I believe you received a copy of the grant, and we'll have to wait until the end of March to hear whether we receive that grant or not. So fingers crossed. Thank you.
Okay, next we will hear from Sue Pettit on early graduation.
So this is our large month for early graduations. And this month we have 75 students that are going to be requesting early graduation for us. They've been spoken to by their counselors and advised of opportunities if they stay, and most of them have chosen to continue on and request an early graduation. The majority of them are going to go on to work or work to save for college, planning to start college in the summer or the fall. So if you could approve their early graduation, they would very much appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next we'll hear from Tanya Wilkes on a report of monthly suspensions, out-of-state and overnight travels, camp request, and spring athlete.
Good evening. I notice Angie's not here. She must have heard me talk too much yesterday. So. All right. First off, I want to go over the suspension report. If you'll recognize, we had 1.5 at the elementary. We had quite a few at the middle school. We had some, let's just say, honeymoon from Christmas breaks over. So we had a few little bit of disruptions in class that we are definitely undertaking right now. And then the high school had a total of 4. Any questions on the suspension report? I'm glad to hear there will be no expulsion, so that's good. All right, and then the next thing is out-of-state overnight travel requests. We do have a baseball opportunity, as well as the FFA, and then the student government with Kelly Mon. I believe these were on the last school board meeting too, but.
The one for Phoenix, Arizona says it's not out of state, though.
Yeah.
Actually, they decided not to do that one because they got in the Bucks Bowl, or the Bucks bag, so I think this was last month, but that's okay. We can prove them again.
So
And then-
do we have a correction then on that?
The student government.
Sorry, I didn't notice that until I got in here.
So maybe we could just send that out for a written confirmation after?
Yeah.
Instead of adopting this one tonight, or asking for approval.
It's a student government one, too. Boise's not out of state.
Right, they're overzealous to make sure they're good.
That looked like it was just switched.
Mhm.
If they're not out of state, it's because they're overnight. So.
Right, and that's not on the,
The other were both.
and that's not on the sports schedule that we approve, that you're gonna approve tonight for the fall. And so we'd like you guys to know, especially about the overnights. Can you check, and we'll look at that? Renee, I just noticed okay, and then camps and clinics, we have a volleyball camp at Pocatello High School, or clinic going on, and a girls' basketball camp at Highland High School. The girls' basketball camp, again, is for the younger generation, so giving those kids opportunity to participate. Any questions? And then if, I didn't print it out, but you'll see the spring athletic schedule. All the travel should be on there. If it's in Boise and so forth, overnight, it will be on that schedule, so we don't present that again to the board. But we got a pretty full schedule. I do want to warn you right now, you'll see golf on that schedule, and then next year you'll see it in the fall. So they moved high school golf for 4A and 5A to the fall. So they figured that we could have a little bit of longer season because usually it snows, well, melting snow on the golf courses those first few months.
So,
Okay.
I looked at last month's report, and it looks like we did have the student government Boise trip on there.
Okay.
And the baseball one was taken off. So
Be-
the addition to this month was just that FFA in Marathon and Chalice for an
Okay.
overnight trip.
So it's just the added one that we'll approve tonight. Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is our business operations presented by Jonathan Balls.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for your time. Real quick, on the Idaho General Fund Revenue Report, again, you can read through that. I noticed that they were missing a little bit of the predictions, as always, but this one they were maybe predicting a little bit higher, so we might be leveling off a little bit on the state revenue. And so we'll just have to kind of see how that works its way through. But again, for the time being, we still are increasing in revenue. It just didn't come in as much as they thought there. If you have any questions, you can let me know there. We had 2 bid openings this last month that we're asking for your approval. The first is some HVAC equipment, specifically that 79 heat pumps for Pocatello High School in Unit 1. 3 vendors were invited to bid. We received a bid back from only one, and that was Mechanical Solutions here in Pocatello. And so you can see the amount there, just a little under $500,000, and that was under our budget by close to almost $300,000. So we felt pretty good about that. And again, these budget numbers, you'll notice, especially this year, are going to be a little bit wider range than normal, just because of the being the unique environment to get materials, to get parts, and so forth. So this one, we're happy that it came in under budget. But again, later in the meeting, you'll be asked to approve the award for this. The HVAC equipment there in Pocatello High School. The next bid was for our internet access. 7 vendors were invited to bid. We received bids back from 3, and you can see that on your sheet comparing 5,000 megabits per second speeds there. We received bids from Direct Communications in Rockland, ENA in Boise, and FatBeam in Coeur d'Alene. And you'll see that the low bid came in with FatBeam, who is actually our current provider there in Coeur d'Alene. And so we'd again later on in the meeting, we'd recommend that we approve the bid award to FatBeam in the amount of $2,800 per month, and that starts in July 1st. That is actually before E-rate. So, yeah, Carl's mentioned that he's realizing, we had some significant savings. We're currently paying about $5,400 a month now for our internet. So, again, that's just to receive the internet. We pay substantially more to distribute and filter the internet, close to $11,000 a month to distribute that to all our different schools and learners and devices and so forth. But to receive the internet into our hub here at the district office, the education center, it would be that $2,800. So, any other questions?
Thank you. Next, I have employee service by Carl Smart.
We're moving through this agenda very quickly now, aren't we?
We are, but you have a number of items.
Till
tonight.
now, yeah.
Oh, Carl.
Yeah, all right. I have a number of items on my part of the agenda, but I will try to keep the momentum going here. So, as always, we like to share with you a little bit what we have going on in the way of infinite campus technology and IC and that sort of thing. Talking with Kevin today, they're still in the process of updating their wireless. They got a little behind because of some personnel issues in the technology department. And they have 8 schools left to put wireless in, a new wireless update, and they're all in the elementary schools. As far as Infinite Campus, we have data for 1 year, then we have to start rolling kids forward and classes forward to begin processing for the next year. They are starting that process as we speak. Calendars and that sort of thing are now in the process of getting prepared to be rolled over for next year. And of course, we have our SEE IC, which is another project coming up next month. So we will be coming probably in a month from now saying, yeah, we're done, thankfully, for another little bit and so on. But we will start that first part of March. They were happy to report that they also received $570,000 of funding from USAC, or the E-rate people, to help pay for Chromebooks. And we are going to put that money in reserve, basically, as at the end of the 2024-25 school year. So 3 years from now, we have approximately 6,000 Chromebooks that are going to expire. And so that $570,000 will come in very handy when we try to buy 6,000 Chromebooks. So they have already committed to put that in school plan and saving it for 3 years until we can utilize that for Chromebooks. And it was a product of the ESSER monies. Item B, student enrollment report. There are no surprises in that data that you have in your packet tonight. However, we do have a big impact on our funding. There was a switch done at the state where we were, instead of being on average daily attendance, was on average daily membership. And we had not anticipated this last spring when we were doing our budgeting. In fact, we budgeted on being protected from 600 units. And so we got the actual funding documentation today for salary apportionment, and instead of 577 units, we're being funded on 620. So those of you who've been around a while, that's a significant increase in the number of units. So we will be bringing some budget adjustments next month that will reflect that change in the number of units, which is good news. So we did present a balanced budget for you last spring based upon the 577, but now we'll have a little bit more to be able to offer to our budgets next year. Any questions so far? Comments? Okay. Wellness dashboard is item C. We give you a heads up on where our medical, dental, vision plans are every month. And as we met with Lockton and Pacific Source at the end of January, they gave us a heads up that there was going to be a significant claim coming through. And be prepared for some sticker shock on our medical loss experience. They were projecting 180%. And I hate to say luckily, because this is still a nasty number, luckily it was only 140%. And again, it's related to some of our COVID issues. And not just us, but it's across the board. So that wasn't good news that we needed at the end of the year as we start doing our renewal with the Pacific Source. And of course, we had our conversations with you last week about medical insurance, so this could eventually play into that. The budget timeline, item C. In my haste last week to get Renee something to put in the agenda tonight, I copied these documents from one year next and put it in a folder. I didn't get everything updated in it, and so that's why you have version 1 and version 2. So the version 2 is the cleaned up version. The budget documents, I'm going to start sending those out this week, so our administrators can start reviewing at least the personnel portion of their budgets. That's the biggest portion we have, of course. And getting everything ready to offer them an opportunity to get their budgets created. I give them generally about 6 weeks. And so general fund, we like to have them back about April the 8th. We give the special funds another couple of weeks to try to get a little more data from the state and feds. And so the intent is to have something by the middle of May, because we often by the middle of April, we have our opportunity to meet with the State Department of Ed in their post-legislative tour. And so we can see where our revenues are going to land, match that with the expense requests, and start having some intelligent conversations with you as a board, end of April, first part of May, and basically by the end of May, we have to have a budget published in preparation to publish in the paper. Because on June the 21st is when we actually have our hearing. And a lot of these are written in Idaho code, so we have to back up from that July meeting and just do our backups from there. So July 19th is our annual meeting, and then June 21st has to be our regular board meeting and budget hearing. So that's what the calendar is, and so we will stick as close as we can to it, and we'll let you know if we have to have any other conversations on budget. Trustee zones, this is going to be an action item for you tonight. Every 10 years, we are required by Idaho code to go through and make sure that our trustee zones are, there is no, what's the word they use in here, variance of more than 10% between the zone with the lowest population and the zone with the highest population. When we got the data from the state, we were within, what, if I remember right, Doug, was 6% on some of those.
Mm-hmm.
So we were still within the 10% required by state code. But we went through and worked the zones over to try to get them closer to 0. And we know 0's not going to happen. And based upon what we know now, the population is growing this way rather than this way. So our zones, when we redid the population of the zones, we kind of had to look at going this way with all of them. And so when you look at the zone maps, if you were to look at this year's approved by the State Board of Ed versus what we had in the past, you'll see that there has been a general shift to the north. And so we made a concerted effort to make sure that everybody who was either running or currently on the board was going to remain in their zone. And so there is not going to be any requirement for anybody to change zones tonight. But in the action, we're going to ask you simply to say, we have new zones. You have the legal definitions of those new zones. You're going to appoint a board member to be a representative of each of those 5 new zones. That's simply all we're going to ask you to do tonight for that. And we will be done for this project for another 10 years. So As you can see, if you were to look at the variance, we're in a good shape, 2.5%, basically is on the high side. And that is in those areas up in the north where they're gonna be shortchanged, will typically be made up over the next 10 years. Okay. Any questions, comments on that one? And the last one is our emergency school closure resolution you need to approve tonight. Of course, we had on the 21st of January troubles trying to make sure we had coverage in each classroom. And the night before, we made the decision to close school down because of the inability to cover all the classrooms. And so we are asking for your approval tonight of this resolution to cover that emergency school closure on January 21st. And we will send this again to the state, and they will have that information so they can adjust our ADA or ADM accordingly. And so, I don't know how that's gonna work, actually, just
Yeah, right.
thinking it's all of a sudden,
Just as
like,
you said
it doesn't
that,
make sense, no. But we'll still do it, it's required, and so, it will happen, so. We'll ask you to do that tonight under your action items. So, any questions or comments? If that's the case, that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda is human resources. I don't have any for human resources, so we'll go to Dr. Howe for superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple items for your board calendar, and then just highlight maybe a couple legislative items. So the board calendar appreciate Ms. Johnson's efforts in our conversion from Microsoft Outlook calendars to Google calendars. That last month was a little messy because it was truly in the form of a calendar, and so it was hard to maybe navigate that in a one-page kind of document. So tonight, of course, we have our regular board meeting. We had executive session prior. It looks like, of course, we're coming up on our first training, our board training from 2:30 to 4:30 on Thursday afternoon here in the boardroom. And so we look forward to learning a little bit more from our trainer from Idaho School Boards Association, taking us through that. And then we'll pick up another one over the course of each of the next 2 months and get you a little bit more settled into your positions and more knowledgeable, in addition to what we're providing here at the district on those first Tuesday visits. Next up will be Day on the Hill. 3 of the board members and I think 3 of us from, or a couple of us from the district will be headed over to Boise for a Day on the Hill, which is actually 2 days. And what's that? Well, it just says Day on the Hill, right? Days on the Hill. And so a number of us will be headed out on Monday morning and then ready to attend that first session Monday afternoon. And then we head over to the Capitol, and I think we have Senate Ed on Monday afternoon. And then we'll pick up with House Ed on Tuesday morning, and then a luncheon with our legislative delegation, as well as a dinner appointment on Monday evening. We'll meet there at the Capitol. We have, I think, 3 is what we have confirmed, 3 of our legislators confirmed for dinner at the Capitol on Monday evening. And then the luncheon on Tuesday with our legislative delegation. They try to move around a little bit because, you know, they have different, they serve other districts as well. So like Jim Guthrie will usually pick up with maybe Marsh Valley or something if we see him on Monday night. So they'll move around a little bit on Tuesday, and then we'll be back Tuesday evening. Let's see, Wednesday, February 23rd, we have key communicators. I worked with Mrs. Fisher, and we developed an agenda for that. We have 2 confirmed already, 2 board members. So Ms. Clark and Mrs. Judy will be attending our February key communicators on the 23rd. And I do not believe we will have any student discipline hearings that evening. From what Mrs. Jensen told me today, so I think you can X that one out. for February 23rd at 3:30. And then March 1st, board department visits, 9 to 10:30. And you can see your various assignments there. Tuesday, March 8th will be our work session at 3:30. Then the 9th, again, that's placeholder for student discipline hearings at 3:30. And then regular board meeting out on the March 15th. And that gets us out about a month, so I'll just leave it at that and let you peek at the rest.
So did you say March 1st for board visits? That's what I have here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I
I may have said 7th. Did I say 7th?
I thought you said 3rd, but I just
Oh.
wanted to be sure that's what it shows here on the calendar.
Okay.
I
all
just wanted
right.
to be sure I had it right.
Okay.
But it doesn't tell us who's going where.
Yeah,
Oh, it doesn't.
no.
We don't have that part in there. Interesting. Okay, we'll keep refining this calendar. But we'll make sure you get your assignments.
Hopefully your actual Google Calendars has that information.
Yeah, we do.
think it
We
does.
have them set up.
And
They
I think
just
you're right. I
don't
think it
show
does
up
have-
right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And so, moving into the next item, legislative items. I had made mention last week that some of the things that we're watching pretty closely would be House Bill 512, which is the 11-month waiting period in order to run another bond election. Again, I think that's problematic for especially those areas that see a lot of growth. This actually, I think, comes out of the Bonneville area because they have seen a lot of growth, as well as West Ada, Nampa, McCall, that western side of Boise. And so I think it would, again, cause a lot of problems if they were not allowed to do that. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Another one that I wanted to highlight is House Bill 555, which is a change in personal contribution for school employees, and it amends or repeals existing law to provide the contribution rates and reemployment of school members. And it also extends out to all public employees eligible to be returned to work. And so even those folks could come back and consider a job in education. So it's, I think, another way that they're trying to help us out in desperate times that we've seen this past year with the illness that we've all experienced. Another one is Senate Bill 1280. And this is amends and adds to existing law to establish programs for dyslexia. I think the intent is really good. The way one of these bills is presented, it's set up that everyone would have to take a class before being able to recertify. I think that would cause a little bit of a problem, especially if they don't have that set up, the curriculum, and trying to push that through so quickly. I've heard of another bill that may be coming forward, if it's not already, which would just allow a review of like some documentation, brochures, pamphlets, and to help others identify what dyslexia looks like. So I think the cause is good. I think the approach or the process needs to be refined just a little bit more. Let's see, that's the same one. House Bill 444 amends 2021 legislation to extend the sunset date in regard to COVID liability. They've already done that once. I think given the circumstances and the climate that we're in, it would be very good for the legislature to extend that another year. As you know, last week we spent a considerable amount of time on House Bill 443. That's the insurance bill. Some questions that we raised in regard to what that retiree insurance would look like. We're still a little bit unclear on the funding. We know that that funding formula doesn't provide for all of our employees. So Mr. Smart, Mr. Balls, Mrs. Miner, myself, we continue to talk about this almost daily. Today, Mrs. Fisher was able to get out communication to our staff. All of us have reviewed that and feel pretty confident in the information that's shared, and to assure them that we will be transparent with everything that we know as we learn more about it. Our latest numbers look much better than they did at the outset of all of this. And so I think it could be a very strong possibility for us. Mr. Smart mentioned too that our broker, Lockton, is interested in looking at least at what the market looks like for our district individually, but we will continue to pursue this collective plan as well. So that way we can, again, do what's best for our employees and bring a good, firm recommendation to the board to consider. House Bill 437, this is in regard to the content standards, and right along with it is a House concurrent resolution also about the standards. And essentially that would force the state board to adopt the standards that are being presented by the legislature, which I heard yesterday, and I think Mr. Orr confirmed it today as well, that the Attorney General's office has put out a paper on this and said that if they try to pursue that, it could be unconstitutional. So we'll keep an eye on that and see where it goes. But again, Mr. Orr, I just charged him with a daily review and keeping us abreast of everything that's happening in regard to standards. So he's right on it, I know he is. So unless you have other questions about any of the information in the ISBA review, I think that's it for me.
Thank you.
And we'll have an opportunity, if I might add, sorry, I say I'm done and then. So when we meet with our legislators on Monday evening, that's a time that we go through some of this and we're able to talk about the more specific details of it and encourage them to vote how we think would be best.
Thank you. Okay, next is public written comment pertaining to action items. There's no written comment. So we'll move on to, now we'll move on to action items. First one is to adopt the Pocatello Chubbuck School District 25.
Oh,
The school board meeting calendar,
oh, I did not.
I just took off the board trainings. It's a minor update, but
Oh,
Do you want to go back to it?
yes, if we
Okay.
could, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Um,
Board calendars?
Yep,
Yeah.
uh-huh. Is,
Whoops.
oh, sorry, I missed one. I thought I only had two. Silly me. Okay. So, Ms. Johnson, remind me, did we change the time of,
I just took them off of the calendar because we just need that flexibility to where it's not posted
that's it?
and needing to be amended all the time if we have.
Yeah, so that first one we had to change, but the board had adopted the calendar with those trainings on there. So then we have to repost and all of that. So that's what the change reflects. Thank you.
Okay.
Action items.
Okay, we'll go to the action items. First is to adopt the Pocatello Chubbuck School District 25 roadmap for safe return to in-person instruction and continuing services for the 2021-2022 school year. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board adopt the Pocatello School District 25 roadmap for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services for the 21-22 school year as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is passed. Next is the approval of early graduation. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the early graduation request as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is passed. Next is approve the out-of-state overnight travel request.
And this one we need to
We have
amend?
to amend?
Right, yeah, this one.
The
when you
amended.
make the motion, it would just be as corrected.
That's correct.
I
As,
move that we approve the overnight requests as amended.
Is there a
Is that
second?
clear enough?
that's good enough. Second. Is, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is, that motion is passed. Next, we have the approval of camp request. Is there a motion?
Hereby move that the board approve the camp request as presented.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is passed. Next is the approval of spring athletic schedule inclusive of travel. Is there a motion?
I hereby move the board approve the spring athletic schedules inclusive of travel as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Next is the approval of, to award the bids.
I hereby move that the board award the following bids as presented: HVAC, Pocatello High School Unit 1, and Internet Access.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? See none, that motion is passed. Next is to appoint a trustee to represent zones as a result of final approval of trustee zone map and legal description of,
That's one yours. It's a tough one.
by the State Board of Education.
Do I have to read the whole thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
right
I don't
down here.
have that.
Ready?
Is there a motion?
You go ahead and do that.
I hereby move the board appoint each trustee to his or her respective zone as a result of final approval of the trustee zone maps and legal descriptions by the Idaho State Board of Education as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there a discussion? Do we need? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No, not, I just did not have enough time to look at those maps, but
Aye.
I'll accept it.
Okay. I know,
Ultimately, it's not approving the maps. It's,
That's-
it's appointing trustees now that they're approved by the state board because they're the ones responsible.
Okay, okay. That's why I just
Good
wasn't
clarification.
quite clear what we
So
were
each
doing
of
there.
us-
Yeah.
so each of us
Like-
are still in the same zone that we were
Right, okay.
originally
Elected,
to.
yep.
So you have 10,000 more people to represent. Don't worry
'Cause I
about it.
feel like I studied that map really well. I'm just like, don't mess with that, yeah.
Well, I don't know that it changed a whole lot.
That's what I couldn't really see what had
Some.
changed.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I know that mine changed a little bit.
Mine
Uh-huh.
changed.
Probably a few blocks either way,
Yeah.
Mine-
where it's more concentrated in the population.
Right,
But then where it's less concentrated as you move that way or that way, it maybe took in a bigger chunk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I-
But yet all
mine
of
actually-
you will remain as trustees for your respective zones. Uh-huh.
I think mine actually diminished. I was surprised. It got smaller.
Oh,
But they took a neighborhood out of mine myself.
okay.
Oh, well. Okay, next is to adopt the emergency school closure resolution.
I move that we adopt the emergency school closure resolution.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That has the motion passed. Next to is adopt the amended 2022-2023 school board meeting calendar. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board adopt the amended 2022-2023 school board meeting calendar as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed. That concludes this meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Good.